Today's lesson is going to be on electrophorus. Now, let's go over a few of our items that we already know. We have an electroscope, and that detects charges. I am going to introduce something new. This is like a little pie plate. It's connected with an acrylic handle, very good insulator, and this is simply an aluminum plate, so it conducts very well. I also have a piece of cloth here, and I've got my plastic plate. These make up the electrophorus. Now, if I were to rub the cloth on this plate, I end up developing charges. The cloth becomes positive, as we've seen before, and the electroscope can end up detecting those. With that little bit of information, we are now ready to talk about our quiz. For today's quiz, I have an electrophorus system. I've got a plate that I have, I'll call that the cake on the bottom. It's just a plastic plate. I've got a piece of woolen cloth, we'll call it, and then I've got a metal pie plate attached to a plastic handle, an acrylic handle. And as always, I've got my electroscope. Question is, if I were to rub this plate with this cloth, the cloth ends up having a positive charge. We'll then take that off, put it away. I simply want to know, if I put this metal plate on top of that cake and then took it over here and touched it to ground, how many times could I do that back and forth till I had no charges left? I'll hold your quiz up right now. It's a long one, so hopefully you paused. As always, work your explanation to the best of your ability and list your level of confidence. All right, the students know this is a mathematical problem. If I started with 1 and this plate shared with the bottom cake plate, and I took this on here, I'm going to take half of the charges away and deliver them here. Half are left. I'm then going to end up taking and putting the plate back on, and I'll take a half of what are left there. So half, a fourth, an eighth, 16th, and so on. And that is excellent thinking by the students, and that's really what they should be thinking. All right, let's actually try this. I'm going to end up putting some charges onto this plate, and you might even hear when I rip this off, it might crackle. Not really. But I'll put this on here, and before I even take it to that ground, I'm simply going to take it to the electroscope. And wait, what? Wait, there's no charges on here. And just to show you that I'm not cheating, I can take this, which is definitely charged, and put it next to the electroscope. There should be negative charges on here, and there's rubber insulating this from the bottom. But again, you can see, oh, almost nothing. So how is that happening? Where did the charges go? Well, here's the trick. And this whole quick quiz is just a setup, because turns out I have magic energy. And I can ground myself, and then I'm going to touch here like this, and then I'll take it next to my electroscope, and voila. Did you hear it? Now watch this. I'm going to take those charges, and I'm going to touch ground, let my electroscope come back down. Watch it again. I'm going to touch here, pull this up again. I'm going to do this a couple more times. Maybe I'll get a better shot. I'll do this very quietly so that hopefully you can hear those charges jumping. I can do this all day. Can you figure out what's happening? All right, this is utterly baffling. How can this be? And look, I shut the camera off for about 5-10 minutes, and watch, I can ground myself, come over, touch, and lo and behold, I get charges. Over and over, seemingly inexhaustibly, I can end up charging this. It must be me. Maybe I found the secret. Maybe I've found out how to get free energy. Perpetual motion machines will now work. There's something about the human body that has a vital electricity to it. And a couple hundred years ago, that was a pretty good explanation. There was something that the human alone was doing here. Notice, if I don't touch it, we really don't get this great charge. Let me discharge this. Let's see what we can. We get a little bit, but nothing like when I touch it. When I touch it, look at that. Boom, arcing over and over again. Think about the legendary book of Frankenstein. They end up using electricity. This speaking with the dead, if you could end up doing something with this a new electrical idea. So, I mean, it is just ripe for anyone who doesn't quite understand electricity. I've repositioned the camera. Maybe this will give us a hint. Watch, I'll do this again. I'll ground myself, touch here, and then pull it over, and hopefully you can hear that. But do you see anything interesting? And maybe I'll give you one more hint. Just give a little bit of light through here. Hopefully the camera will pick that up. Do you see it? Hopefully you figured it out. It's the bevel. Look, because it's beveled up, I'll ground this. I'll also ground myself. When I put this down here, there are negative charges because we had positive on that piece of cloth. When I put them down here, there might only be 3 tiny microscopic places that are actually touching. We assume that it's a flat surface on another flat surface. It's not. By the way, trying to get a flat surface, very difficult. Regardless, when I put this down here, I might pick up just those 3 little points of charge. Not enough to really do anything at all. But the rest of the charges on the bottom plate are very close to that metal plate, which means if there's electrons in the metal, they're going to go to the top of the plate, leaving the positives behind. I come along, I touch the top. Those electrons are on there and they want to get away from those bottom ones. They're going to go through me. I'm not adding electrons here, I'm taking them away. And when I touch that, I now have a plate that is going to be charged. And I can do that over and over again. Wow. Let's draw this out. If you like what we're doing here at the Idealized Science Institute, be sure to like, comment, and subscribe. All right, let's give credit to the gentleman who came up with this, Johan Carl Wilcke. And that's about 1762. He comes up with this thing called the electrophorus. The electrophorus is going to end up being that cake that's down on the bottom. So look, we'll end up using some of our colors here. We'll use positive and negatives. We called this the cake. Again, this is a historical term. They probably made it from resin or something like that. This wool that we would rub up against it would develop some positive charges. And what do we mean by positive charges? Well, a lack of negatives. In other words, the plastic on that bottom piece that's separated from the table or any other ground by little rubber stoppers here, it's going to end up having positives because the bottom plate took those negatives. So I'll put some negatives down here, 3, 4, 5, 6. I have 6 and 5 up there. Let's make 6 and 6. So I end up having my positives that are going to go away. I'm left with my negatives down on this plate. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Good enough. Well, because this is a metal pie plate, we're going to end up saying, well, the positives want to stay next to those negatives. And I have it shown that it's elevated a little bit. I can literally end up putting a little bit of like spikes here. And that's kind of under a microscope what it might look like. You know, you might have just 3 little points that are sticking out that ends up making that separation gap. Well, if my positives are on that side of the aluminum, on the top part, I'm going to end up having the negatives. Technically, they would be on the outside. I should have put those positives there, but I have very little room. Maybe I'll try in the next one. So I have negatives on top, but this is where I come in. I literally take my finger and I'm going to touch there. So I'm going to be the one right here, and I'll just draw myself like this. I touch right there, and I'm connected to the ground or to the earth. And now all of those electrons want to get away from the electrons down on that bottom cake. They're going to end up flowing through me, and I can end up saying, well, if that's the case, these negatives are going to end up going through me and dispersing on the earth, which means they're no longer there. So I can then end up having this plate that has 6 positive charges, and I never touched the negatives that were on that bottom. I can then take that somewhere, do something with it, charge up my electroscope, and notice when it comes back, there are no charges on it, but I still have nearly all of my charges on the bottom. So I can then start back over here. I put this down, and again, this would now be without any net charge. When I put it back to this configuration, I end up getting my positives once again lining up, just like we did before, and this whole process starts over. And that is how you can have an inexhaustible number of charges. Awesome. All right, let's just go over this very quickly again. If I have positives on that cloth, I take this on here. I think they're touching. They're really not. The negatives are going to repel the other negatives in the aluminum, which are sitting on top there. I simply come along, take those, and then I can transfer these over and over. Now, every time I put this down, they're still not touching, and now I touch again, over and over. I'm just grabbing all of those electrons that are sitting on top. So that's the electrophorus, and that is your quiz for today. All right, that last quiz on the electrophorus was a difficult one for everyone. Let's see if we can go a little further with our understanding. Let's do the classic balloon. Everyone likes playing with balloons. We've all seen that you can rub it up against your hair, and I don't quite have enough hair, so I'm going to use that pillow that I was using before. It works really well. So if you don't have a lot of supplies, get yourself a pillow. I'll put this on here, and you'll hear the electrons being ripped off. Works unbelievably well. So now if I just got zapped, and you could see now I can very easily stick that to the wall. Can you explain how that's happening? Well, we should be able to. Now it's not exactly like the electrophorus, but the ideas should be repetitive enough that we should be able to explain this. What's happening here, and let me see if I can rub off some of the charges. I'll take those charges, touch this piece of metal, and now not so much. Let me try it one more time. Rub all of these off here. Picks up dust, everything else, and nope, doesn't stick now. So let's see if we can draw this out and see if we can explain what's happening here. I'll use the wall as being, or the whiteboard as being a flat surface here. And we're going to induce, so that's our wall. And our wall is made up of lots and lots of atoms. If we were to take the balloon next to this, and maybe I'll make the balloon nice and round like this. Here's our balloon. And I put negative charges on here like this. Those negatives are stuck, and I put them on one side of it. Well, inside of that wall, they're going to start feeling the negatives because the wall is made out of molecules, which is atoms, and each one of those, and I'll draw them extraordinarily large. Clearly, they're not going to be this big, but let's just pretend for an illustration that each atom was that big. Well, I can end up separating those charges. Remember, if I have the negatives and I'm going to do work in order to do this. I have to push that balloon up against the wall, and the positives are going to stay. Well, maybe they're not going to be quite that far over. That might be an exaggeration. So I could say, well, they have positives here, but the negatives tend to end up spending more time over there. And that's within each individual atom. So the positives are now going to end up being closer to the negatives. Again, we've seen this before. So the distance between the negative and positive is going to end up being small value, where the negative and negative is going to end up being a bigger value. And remember, we're still going to end up having all of the atoms in the wall remaining neutral. It's just where the electrons tend to end up lining up. And let's say that we had another set of atoms or molecules behind this. Well, they're going to end up polarizing in the same way. So I would end up having my positives, they can't move as much, but our negatives are certainly going to end up spending more of their time further away. So that's how that phenomena works. And when I rub these charges back off the balloon, well, this effect goes away. All right, now that we have that, let me set one more up for you. All right, let's take a piece of paper here, and I'm just going to rip it up into small little pieces and put them right on this table. They're an insulator. I'm touching them, and clearly they don't have any charge on them, but I'll just break them up into small pieces. And what I'll do is I'll take that charge rod next to these pieces of paper. Now, you can make this into a quiz. We're not going to bother, but if you're a teacher and you're looking for a new idea, this would be a good one. You could start making your own quizzes. If I were to take a rod and it is not charged right now and take it near those pieces of paper, nothing's going to happen. But of course, when I take and charge this rod up, wait a second, nothing's going to happen again because these are all neutral. They have equal number of protons and electrons. Don't fall for that, right? What's going to happen is the exact same effect that we saw with the balloon in the wall. As I put charges on here, I'm going to end up inducing the electrons in each molecule of that paper to end up going further from the negatives on this charged rod. And the positives are up a little bit closer. The force of attraction is greater than the repulsion force, and it's actually so great that we can lift the mass of these pieces of paper right off of the table. Pretty cool. All right. That's your lesson for today. Thank you for watching another Idealized Science Institute video. We are a nonprofit organization. If you like what you've seen, be sure to like and subscribe. And if you want, leave a comment below. It's helpful to us. If you can financially support us, go to our website and hit the donate button. If you can't, simply by sharing these videos with other teachers and students in your life will be helpful. While at our website, you'll find that we have our Idealized Science Institute book that'll help you engage your students in dialogic discourse. There you'll also find we have a podcast where we break down educational research. We also have long-form lessons. If you're a teacher, you can watch these and go in the very next day and enact these. Along with this, we also have many other resources, including more quick quizzes. So thank you for watching, and we hope to see you in the next one.